Okay, in this video, I'm going to go through two things. We're going to go through this flow chart here. This is the system of how you would have lead qualification and auto lead nurturing for your business. So I'm going to explain how this works. Then we're going to go through a demo of how it actually functions inside of Salesforce so you can see it happening live. And then the second half of this video, I'm going to go through why I have it set up this way and maybe some pros and cons for your business and how you can apply this in case you're going to do this yourself. Okay, so first things first, let's go through this flow chart so you understand what's happening before I start demoing stuff. So we're going to have a new lead come in, whether that was a paid ad, a newsletter, a social post, something produced a lead, and we have that new lead come in. We're going to check to see if that lead is a duplicate. We don't want to add a duplicate lead to Salesforce. We want to keep our CRM clean. So as long as it's not a duplicate, we're going to go ahead and create that brand new lead. And then we're going to assign this out to one of our sales reps, which is an automation in Salesforce. So this does it automatically for us through something called lead assignment rules. And we're going to have some kind of criteria. In this demo example, we have the criteria based on country. So if it's Europe, it goes to sales rep 1. If it's Asia, it goes to sales rep 2. If it's Latin America, it goes to sales rep 3. You can get way more advanced with this for the demo. That's what it's based on. After they receive that, we want to notify the sales rep that they got a lead so that they can start calling them right away. The reason we want to do that is the difference between you and your competition, both competing for the same person. If this person is reaching out to you, they're probably likely reaching out to other people that are your competitors too to solve this problem. So you want to call them as soon as you can. They're in the buying mindset. So the first person to the phone is likely the best success rate. So we want to notify these people that, hey, you just got a new lead. Please call them as soon as you can. You can do this in Slack. You could do this in Teams. You could do this in Gmail or one of your email inboxes. Right now, we have it set up for this demo to just send it as an email. You could do it anywhere that you guys communicate. After we do that, we're going to create some follow-up tasks on that lead as activities in Salesforce so that your sales rep now also knows what they're supposed to do when they're trying to reach out to that lead that came through. So follow-up task 1 might look something like, hey, today I need to send them an email. Tomorrow I need to call and email. Third day, if there's still no response, I need to email them and CC my sales manager on it. There might be a series of different follow-ups you want them to do for your business, but the point would be we're going to create those things so that they can see that. Then we're also going to highlight the main point of this, which is kind of this bottom half. After all this stuff happens, which is great, we also want to look at the lead score. So the lead score is also automated and set up for us. Clear up here when you have these people fill out your marketing form to get their email and schedule maybe a call with one of your sales reps. Clear up here on that marketing form is where we're going to be asking those lead scoring questions. Your lead scoring questions, infinite ways to do this, okay? Tons and tons of different ways and questions that you might want to ask for your business. To keep it simple for this demo, we're going to be asking, do they have the right budget? Can we help them? Are we talking to the right person? And do they have a reasonable deadline of when they want that stuff done or when they want to purchase the product? For us, we're a service business, so deadline of when they want it done. After that, after this has all happened, we're also going to automate enrolling this person into a lead nurturing program. Lead nurturing, as we know, is really where you make all your money. It's highly unlikely in a lot of the cases that you reach out to somebody on the first call or the first email, you're going to land that lead. A lot of the times this takes time. They have to build trust with you. They have to feel like you can deliver on the results they're looking for. So putting them inside of some type of lead nurturing program where we send them emails every so often, or we put them on a newsletter, or we send them videos every so often to tell them, hey, this is how we would fix your problems and serve your company. That's going to be huge. And that depends on where they're at, right? So based on this lead score and the questions that they answered, we're also going to put them on different enrollments for that lead nurture. Instead of just blasting them and everybody else on our lead nurturing program with the same content, we're going to divide this up by low, medium, and high. Meaning, the higher the score is, I actually have this backwards. Let me hear you actually pause this so it doesn't confuse us. Fix those. So anybody that has a lead score of 75 plus is going to be put on the high intent lead nurture. So even if I do close them today, I still want them on there and to have them enrolled and keep trust and touch points with them. They can unsubscribe whenever they want. So this is just going to happen automatically in the back end. So 75 plus, I'm going to put them on the high. 50 means they have 2 out of the 4 questions in this demo that they've answered. We're going to put them in the medium. And then if they're below 50, we're going to put them in the low. So there's going to be a different tactic for each one of these emails that goes out that we already have scheduled as a cadence. And they're going to teach them different things. If they're low, we're probably just going to talk about awareness and try to teach them about their pain points and their problems. If it's medium, it's a little bit of a blend, maybe a little bit of awareness, but a little bit of tactical. This is how we would do it. And if it's high, we're really just kind of pushing them towards a call of action of this is exactly how we would do it. If you want us to help you today, click this button and we can continue to help you, right? So that's how we are dividing it up. And again, this is for a demo. So to keep this simple, there's only going to be 4 questions. When you go to your own marketing form, you might have way more than 4 and you might have different questions, but this is to get the point across of how you want to do this. Okay. So without further ado, let's look at the Salesforce demo. Now that you've understood how this works, I'm going to show you how this actually functions. Okay, so I have a test screen up over here. All right, ignore this for the most part. What this is representing for me in this video is just to say that we are on a marketing form. Okay, so this you can see down here. This is a really, really basic looking marketing form that would come through. Okay, so pretend this is on your website. They've clicked into Let's Talk or schedule a call, and now they're looking at your company marketing form. So it's going to ask them for a series of things. Let's name this person something testing, right? I always just go with some kind of movie product. So we're going to do Neo and Matrix for the first and last name. We're going to do Neo at matrix.com, and company, we'll do the Matrix. Country, we're going to put USA so that we know this is going to go to me personally, so I get the email. And then this is where down here, I just have them as checkboxes for the demo. The budget, though, would likely be a question like, what is your ideal budget? You probably have some kind of drop down for them or a pick list. That drop down would say something like, is it 100K? Is it 50K? Is it 25K? Is it less than 10K? And then depending on what they answer to that, if it's, let's say, above 100K, okay, great. They do have the budget for us, right? Deal maker, this is going to represent, are they the right person? So you're likely going to ask them for something like a job title. If this is VP of operations for my business, great. That's perfect. CTO, CEO, anyone in the C-suite is going to be good. Anyone below like a Salesforce admin or a marketing manager, maybe not so much, right? They're going to have to go up the chain for me. So I'd either have that left blank or I would check it. Let's leave this one blank and pretend that it's somebody that's not in the C-suite for my business. Can we help them? So right here would be a question, something around whether or not that what their problem is, so that you can determine, do I actually know how to solve that? Do we help people with that kind of thing? So again, you could do a drop down so that it's really clear. Hey, is this a, for my business, I'll use this as an example. Is this a Salesforce issue? Is this a HubSpot issue? Is this a Zapier issue? Is this a MuleSoft issue, right? So I'd list out different platforms that people typically come to us with problems with. And then depending on which one they selected, I would then determine, okay, they said it's a Salesforce problem. Okay, great. We can help them. Is it maybe like a Zapier issue? No, maybe we can't, right? So you would identify things that you guys know how to help people with versus what you don't. And then if they choose the right stuff, it checks it. If they don't, then it doesn't check it. You'll all see this on Salesforce. It's going to make sense in just a second. So don't get super confused on what I'm trying to explain here. This is just a very basic way to say, here's 4 questions that we're checking so that when they come through and they get created as a lead in Salesforce, it's going to tell us whether or not they're qualified. Okay. But here, like I'm saying, you're going to want to ask questions. Don't have checkboxes like this. This is just for the demo. Reasonable deadline, same thing. I would have some kind of maybe pick list and would determine what's a reasonable deadline for your business. So for us, if somebody comes to us and say, I need this done by the end of the week, that's not going to be reasonable. We don't even know who you are. We don't even know what the problem is. We haven't even talked. It's going to be very unlikely we can get on a call, figure everything out, get resources behind it, and solve it before the end of the week, right? If they say it's due in 2 months from now, that's probably reasonable. We have time to get to know you, settle up a contract, and then start helping, right? So we're going to check that one and just pretend that they asked or they said that it's 2 months from now. I'm going to then submit. They're going to do that on your website. It's going to redirect them to whatever page you redirect them to on your website after that marketing form goes through. Mine just goes back to the home page. What that's telling me is that in Salesforce now, Salesforce is going to have this lead come through. So we're going to refresh for today's leads. And here you go. Make this nice and big for us so we can see. We have Neo Matrix that just came in. So we can now get this lead into Salesforce automatically. That already saves us a bunch of time and money so that somebody doesn't have to manage an inbox for us and try to figure out how to get this lead from an inbox and put it into Salesforce and hope that they don't make any kind of error. We already know whatever they put on that marketing form is exactly what's going to show up in Salesforce immediately. So now we have this, we have the information here. And one other thing that I had in the flow next was that I would get some kind of notification. So let me refresh my Gmail so I can show you that. Refresh my email, pulled up the specific email that we're in, and here you go. This is all customizable as well. Again, if you did not watch the other video, which is lead assignment rules, go ahead and watch that. That'll talk more in depth about this, but you can set the email subject, you can set the copy, you can set what information gets sent over in this email to your sales rep. This is a cookie cutter way that I have it set up for the demo. Tells me my first name. You've got a new lead assigned to you. Here's some basic information. But better yet, here's a link that will bring you right to that lead inside of Salesforce. So you can just go and look at it right now. So that's really cool. It'll bring you right to this record page so they can just see it. Okay, cool. So now we have all that, right? This is where a lot of that lead qualification comes into play. So now that we have this, we have a formula field over here called lead score. Again, this is very basic to get my point across. This is where those questions would be. So something like that drop down that says, hey, I have 100K plus budget. Okay, great. We know that that's a check. This person is VP of sales. Great, that's checked. Can we help them? Yes, they said it's a Salesforce problem. Great, we can help. Reasonable deadline? Yes, they said it was 2 months out. Okay, great, that's checked. And as we check these things, it'll tally up a score. Since we, for this demo, have 4 questions, it's really easy math. Each one is 25 points. If they check one of these, then it gives them 25 points. So if I edit this and I say, actually, I got to talking to them, this is the deal maker. They are the person that's going to approve the budget. Cool. I'd mark that as true. Now you can see that lead score automatically gets updated to 100, right? So this all takes place before anybody touches anything, which is amazing because then, like I said, it puts them into that lead nurturing program. Now, what's happening on the back end here that you can do with whatever tool you use for marketing? This size of my business, we use HubSpot marketing instead of Pardot with Salesforce. I think as people get bigger, Pardot starts to make a little more sense. But we use HubSpot Marketing Hub right now to do our lead nurturing. And so what this does now is it will start that flow from kicking off. So it now says, hey, the lead score in this situation would be 100. These guys are high intent. Go ahead and put them into the high intent lead nurturing program and start sending out those emails every couple days and teach them and do some call to action of how we can help solve those kind of problems for them. So this is a huge thing, right? A lot of stuff happened. Let's hurry and kick back to the actual diagram so that we can break this down one more time. So there's a lot of stuff that happened here that saved us time, money, and made it less confusing and simple for your team. A lot of stuff for sales. It's taking care of the assignment rule and giving it to them. It's sending them a Slack or an email telling them that they got a new lead. It's making sure that it's keeping your data clean by not putting in any duplicates. It's also creating some of those follow-up tasks for you so that you can see, hey, this is what I got to do right now. This is what I got to do next. Let's try and look at one of those examples. I have a dummy account or a dummy lead in here for you so you can see this. I forgot to show you these. Here's the follow-up tasks that would happen. Now, you would obviously name these whatever they need to be named and then set whatever due date needs to be set. But you get the point that there will be these follow-up tasks that get attached to the lead as well. So that's going to happen, which helps your sales managers stay on track. You can pull reports on that and see pattern-wise, what sales reps are doing well versus what sales reps are doing bad, and then correlate that to, do they do the follow-up task? Yes or no? If they no and they're doing poorly, we need to coach them on that. They're doing all the follow-up tasks and they're doing well. Great, let's praise for that. So it helps you with that piece of it. And then the very last piece is more of your marketing and keeping things rolling within your pipeline is doing the lead score and enrolling them into wherever they need to go. So that lead score, again, will help the sales reps and marketing both identify what kind of content do we need to send them on the marketing side, but the sales side will also see it as, okay, great, this person just came in, they're a 25. Do I probably got to drop everything I'm doing right this second to do it? Maybe not, but I obviously still want to call them as soon as possible, but they are a 25. They're probably not going to be the most ideal person I speak to. Versus it's 100 when it comes in. They know that this is going to be a really hot lead. They should call them ASAP and likely be ready to try to close something on the call. Maybe push them in a different direction with their scripting as well, knowing that they're the ideal buyer for them and how they want to treat them. Okay, great. So hopefully this makes sense, all how that works. I feel like that was really clear, easy demo that you could see, a simple one. Now, last piece I wanted to talk about was what I did in my business versus what you could do with yours. So the very last piece down here, like I mentioned, is how you want to enroll things. So for a smaller business, I would say when we work with businesses consulting wise, around maybe 5 million or less, you're doing stuff a lot in HubSpot. There's a lot of times people choose to use HubSpot as their CRM below that mark. It's a little bit cheaper. It's a little more simplified. There's a lot more guardrails. So it just kind of keeps things easy to use. Whereas when you go to Salesforce, the big selling point is everything is customizable. When you're small and you're just trying to figure things out and make money, a lot of times you're not too worried about trying to customize everything. Versus when you go over into Salesforce and you're a bigger company and you have different processes and you do need that customization so that it works specifically for your business, that's maybe when that starts making more sense. Again, that's kind of a number that I've just seen in my experience. Don't hold me to that. It might be a little bit different depending on who you are and what you do. But that's a general guideline that I see. So for us, we're below that. So for us right now, it makes sense to just do it that way. It's a little bit cheaper, easier for us to manage. But if you're above that, what you would want to do is something within Salesforce that we could do for you. The lead scoring, as you saw, super simple for this demo. I would think through questions that you have. If you're not familiar with it, Google what kind of lead qualification questions you should be asking. There's a few different methods that it will go through. The one that we use is BANF, which is like budget, authority, needs, and timeline. So you kind of saw those, which do they have the budget? Authority means, are they the right person I should be talking to? Needs were, can we solve those pain points? Or do we have solutions for their pain points? And then timeline is the deadline. Like, when do we need to get this done? There's a bunch of different ways, though, that you could do it. You could do like an ideal client profile, which is you would base that more on like their job title and the company they work for and what they do at that company. That kind of gives you more of a guideline of like, am I speaking to the right person? Maybe that's a little leaning towards account-based marketing that you might consider. And then obviously there's like total custom ways where it's just like, we know from doing this for 10 years that these are the ideal questions we want to ask them before we get on the call so that we know how to prepare for it. And if that's the case, cool. You can ask those too, and you can come up with your own scoring system for that. You also saw on the lead score that for mine, it was very cookie cutter, that each one was 25 points. In real world examples for your business, you'll probably not have it be that way. You might not have an even number, but also some might mean more to you than others. So if they have the budget, maybe that's like 50% of the problem for you. If that's the case, then maybe instead of assigning 25 points, if they have the budget, you would assign 50 points, right? Like, hey, I know half the work is cut out for me if they have the budget to do it, right? Then these other things are actually a little bit easier to identify and get through. So you can also change the lead scoring to match what makes sense for you. You typically see that scale of 0 to 100, so you do have some room in there to kind of move it around. It also doesn't need to be whole numbers like I did. You could do, 71 points, 72 points based on all the math that you want to do. Just know, obviously, the more questions you ask and how you go about that adds complexity. I think if you don't have this system in place, keeping it simple as version 1 and getting people used to it and using it and seeing how it feels is always the most ideal way that I like to do it. Because if it's all brand new and then we try to get super complex, a lot of times you spend a lot of time with the company trying to get everybody bought in. Maybe it's a little too hard because nobody's used it and they're not used to using it. And so then nobody uses it and you spend all this time and money trying to get it implemented versus keeping it simple and just kind of building on top of it as you go. Okay, great. So I would say those are the main call outs there of how you could apply that to your business. The last one, of course, is this lead assignment. I won't talk about that too much because I do have a whole video on that for lead assignment rules. So feel free to go watch that one if you do have questions on what else you could do here. But that would be the other one that I would say is a main customization that you could put in for your business as well. Awesome. If this was helpful, I did put a link below. We can get you set up as one of our sales reps and figure out if we're a good fit for you guys.